There we go. Hello and welcome to the Captain's Table, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Paul Berserker1 Batman Shelley, your humble host and space bartender here at the AstroPub, your space bar at the end of the universe. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show. We got a good one for you. And tonight we are doing the Captain's Table. The Captain's Table is where I bring people from all over the Star Citizen universe to talk about Star Citizen. We have two brand new faces of the Captain's Table, not new to the Star Citizen universe. I'll have them introduced and such, both to talk about a topic that's very near and dear to both of their hearts, and I think it's a discussion happens often in the community. But before we get to that, let's introduce folks. Let's start with Mr. Zark. Zark, who are you? What do you do in Star Citizen, and where can they find you?
I'm Andreas. I run a YouTube channel called Zark Media where I play Oliver Zark, a news anchor. I can show him here if you let's see if you recognize him. This is the guy right here. He started out as me doing like a project where I wanted to create a TV channel sort of or like a mobiGlas channel in game, and I wanted to do news reports, but it ended up with me starting like an actual broadcasting service in game, recruiting other content creators like Natronics from EU Studios and Inc. and Sage Paul from AMR, who's working on an animation series in Star Citizen universe right now. It's really cool. So right now we're running a broadcasting service on our individual YouTube channels. So I do news and some other shows and some machinima work, and those other people do what they do.
Awesome.
So that's where we are.
What's the name of the most recent machinima one? The 30-minute movie you did that was fantastic. I can't remember the name of it, but
that was Beacon Banu was the latest one, I think. Yeah, that
was fantastic. And anyone who is interested in Star Citizen machinima, it's really, really well done. And
thank you.
This is me get to goat a little bit. Is that I have been following Zark's stuff since you were posting stuff on just Reddit, and maybe sort of doing stuff on YouTube. And I'd often pull you up as being to watch the HubNet stuff, and I always be like, this is the channel that is underrated, and y'all should be watching this on YouTube. Please watch this on YouTube more. So definitely check it out. And where can they find you specifically? Where can they find your content?
On Zark Media on YouTube.
Zark Media on YouTube. Awesome.
Yeah.
And then we've got a face that is very familiar to everyone. Miss Expat, Brat, who are you? What do you do in Star Citizen, and where can they find you?
Well, hello. I'm Expat Brat. I am on twitch.tv/expatbrat. Haven't been on there for a little bit in character, but getting back at it as 318 comes back to life, hopefully soon. I basically do live cinematic machinima. I guess the easiest way to show you is to show you right here, right now. So we have cameras like this, where I look down and say, hello, how's it going? Cameras like this, and oh, hey, how's it going? You okay? And we do this all live, and it's all unscripted, and we have a whole lot of fun.
Awesome. I have seen your content and watched your content as well, and I see you as a kindred soul in the Chaos Gremlin levels of content. So I too enjoy breaking the game in weird and wonderful ways. So
yeah, I mean, look, I do a lot of science. I take things pretty seriously. We have a lot. I have a laugh over on my channel, but at the end of the day, it's all about making progress to the final game. I just so happen to have discovered some of the amazing VoIP and cinema features, and I really enjoy playing the game from this immersive and cinematic perspective. I cue music on command to bring suspense to moments of suspense, and and comedy to moments of comedy, and action to moments of action. And I like to think of Star Citizen as my my own little movie in the stars. People always want to be the hero of their own film, so
Yeah.
I just make one live.
It's awesome. It's very fun. It's very, very cool. And again, it's twitch.tv/Expat Brat, right? All one word, or
Yeah. Yes, indeed. It's
awesome.
Expat Brat, yeah, one word.
Awesome. Now, today, speaking of movies and cinema and immersion, today I wanted to bring both of y'all here today because both of y'all have your own kind of experiences, your own kind of perspectives on this. But there's a constant refrain that we've heard from CIG in the past, and a constant refrain you'll hear from the community that's been going for years now, which is immersion. It's been a joke, it's been a meme, it's been a concern, and it's been a draw for many people. And the term itself is nebulous. Immersion is different for every person. Everyone's going to have different types of immersion. But recently I've seen a lot of people concerned that immersion may be overtaking the game of Star Citizen, where it's becoming more about the immersive experience than it is about the gameplay experience. So the first question I'll ask you, and I'll start with you on this one, Expat, is do you think that immersion is, or I'll put this in a better way, do you think that gameplay and immersion have a space together? Can they live in the same space, or could immersion, could we reach a point where like immersion is too much, where it's actually infringing on the experience of the game?
Well, I mean, in my opinion, there's many different ways that immersion can be created for the player in the first place. So, and I guess each player is going to have their own feeling as to what immerses them and what takes them out of it. Some people will be really into simulation and want the flight mechanics to be ultra simulation, and that will immerse them. And other people would prefer the ships to look a certain way and function in a certain way, and that provides them immersion. For me, actually, one of the strongest points of Star Citizen, and what was the big wow factor in the beginning for me, was the world building. So the detail in which the corporations, the advertising, the realistic construction of my first experience was in Crusader, and just stepping out onto the Crusader platform, the one with the experience center, and seeing those huge screens with the advertising and the gift shop and the it all just seemed so plausible and realistic, and this is kind of how you would expect a future like this to be, and it made sense, physically and everything. So for me, I think world building is a huge part. And I mean, I don't really see how world building would affect people's enjoyment, really. I feel like mechanics is where immersion, has the potential to go from fun in games to this is a drag, how serious we take like the dynamics of space flight, how serious things like aerodynamics and the how easy it is to fly a spaceship, and how the crew can how a crew has to communicate, and whether you can fly solo or you have to use a team, and all this kind of stuff. So personally, I think like I said, there's many different ways that immersion could break, and it depends what kind of player you are. But personally, I think it's kind of easy to make an arcade game, right? So I feel like the more immersive this thing becomes, the more entertaining it will ultimately be, and the more deep the gameplay and the experience will be. I personally think the more detail, the better.
Okay. Zark, same question with you. Do you think that there is a point where immersion can be a detriment to the game? Like, when can immersion be too much?
I think it's a difficult question, because I go into the game from two different angles usually when I play. If I'm filming, I'm gonna be a little bit irritated at all the like traveling by train and takes 25 minutes. When they added like, do you know how easy it was to make machinima when you had your inventory, like of wherever you were, you had the same clothes available in Grimhex like you did in Crusader or in New Babbage, and now you have to go to the actual place where your clothes are lying, or you forgot your ship or your glasses in the other ship across the system. It's a nuisance, really. But at the same time, it's really like, I know also the machinima that I make is meant to play into the immersion. If I don't adhere to going by train ride for waiting for the train for 2 minutes, there's no point to my machinima. I have to experience that myself, because that's the thing that I want to build on with my videos too. But is it a detriment to gameplay? I think CIG are very clear about what type of game they want to produce and deliver, and I think the immersion that we have right now is on track of becoming the gameplay that they promise. And that is a gameplay of you being a spaceman and or a spacewoman and going about your business and living in this world. And it's supposed to be like that. And I don't know. It's a hard question.
All right.
Can I jump in and just say that you have to take the train ride and you have to quantum for miles and you have to go and pick up things, and I'm sorry, it's just how it is, because I mean that's the game. Unfortunately, it's not a game that was made for content creators necessarily. You know, that's not what this is about, you know. And it's about having a finished, complete environment. And I was actually watching another content creator. I mean, no names, of course, but they were complaining about how long the quantum travel is, because it's hard for them to go and make YouTube videos because they have to spend about 2 hours just trying to travel in a direction to go find a thing. And they wanted to buy like a media package that would allow them to teleport across the gap. And I was like, nope.
No.
This is a game for everybody.
Yeah. So let's think about the more positive aspects. Zark, we'll start with you on this, Zark. Zark, what is your you prefer to say Zark or do you say Andreas, or which one do you prefer?
Yeah, go with Zark. That's
okay.
More clear. I think that's fine.
All right. What do you?
The great almighty Zark,
Mr. Media. Who but what do you think that? What is it about immersion in Star Citizen that makes it different? Like that makes it stand out? Is there anything in Star Citizen, especially with its a focus on immersion, that really kind of makes Star Citizen stand out from other games? Is it just does it not stand out from other games? Is the immersion actually an important factor in the Star Citizen experience, or like making it unique to other space games, say like Elite or No Man's Sky or Eve or any of the other sorts of games? Is there anything in there that CIG is focusing on that seems to really make this better, or does it not? Does it fall down in some cases?
For sure, there is. Like I said, I was talking about the subway train, or the train rides earlier, and that was actually one of the things that inspired me to try to make content that was fitting for an actual world. I wanted it to be like a show in the world. And there's two things in that, and I think the first thing is that CIG, if I'm correct on this, don't quote me on this, but I think they have been talking about actually pulling in community content into the game at some point, that was one thing that inspired me a lot, actually, to do the videos that I do. And the other thing that is really unique, at least for me in Star Citizen, is the FOIP. When they added the FOIP, and that is, for anyone who's not familiar, is the short term for face over IP, which is what Expat Brat is doing right now. And that is, to me, very unique for Star Citizen. I haven't even seen it in any other game. I saw it in like LA Noire, but that was from actors on on characters, but not like this from a webcam in an MMO. That's really immersive to me.
Awesome. Expat Brat, same question. Is there anything about Star Citizen's focus on immersion that makes it stand out from its competitors?
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I'm looking forward to more. You know, it's kind of a breath of fresh air to be able to like feel like you wake up in a place and it's actually a place that could really exist. And you know, you hop on the train and you go to the little store and buy your or go to the Whammers. You know, I'm always sponsored by Whammers, so I have to
Sponsored by
mention them,
Whammers.
guys. Go and get go and get your Whammer burger and your pips and then head over to like a nice little part of town and meet up with someone and that it's just the whole movement around the place and the fact that you can like jump in a ship and you see a place and you go, you know, like, oh, I see the space station up there. Okay, let's go. You know, it's just super cool. And the VoIP and the VoIP thing, I mean, this is just genius. I mean, like I had no idea this even it was a thing in Star Citizen when I even picked up the game and started playing. And when I discovered it, I was like, yes, this has to be done. And this has to be done well because this just makes it so much fun for me to play. This is it really is just me having fun, you know, out here. I mean, this is how I enjoy playing the game. People joke about me saying like, oh yeah, when you're not streaming, are you walking around looking at yourself, bumping into walls, you know, while talking? And I'm like, no, I don't. But I will still interact with other players and you know, have fun that way, you know, and sometimes be in character. So yeah, it's I used to love all those games, those like I don't know, it was a long time ago, but does anyone remember Second Life? I know it became a bit strange in the end, but like that whole idea of like just being in a, you know, just getting out of my house and just being somewhere else, you know, you don't have to go on holiday, you just load up the computer and there you are, you know. I think that's cool. The more it can get like that, I think the better.
Go ahead, Zark.
I wanted to add on the point of Second Life that Sweden, where I am, had its foreign minister open the only foreign what's it called? Embassy. Yeah, an official embassy. He made a character and he cut the ropes right outside the Swedish embassy in Second Life.
Yeah, I mean, I think if it's focused, I think if this game is extremely focused on space combat and all that kind of stuff, I mean, that's one thing. But I mean, it's already pretty cool that you can, you know, go and buy a gun and then you've almost got like a first-person shooter. You've got a space combat game. You've got, you know, honestly, I have fun just walking around. Like half the time, I just walk around, bump into people. You know, the social aspects. Yeah, I mean, it's this is a sandbox. I think that the more this becomes a sandbox, the more fun it will be. And I make my own missions. I make my own challenges to myself. I don't necessarily believe that everything has to be in your Moby Glass for you to have a good time. But yeah, that will be there for other players, I'm sure.
All right, let's move on to more topics about specifically you and also the game itself. I'll start with you on this one, Expat. What would you suggest CIG do to add more immersion for the average player? What was kind of things you'd like to see in game that would make people go, you know, make you personally, or make people go like that is really cool. I'd love to see something like I need to play this because I need to experience this.
I think the next step is AI, as far as immersion goes. Populating the world with people that don't all stand on benches would be great. Yeah, you know, I think they're on the right track with, you know, the coffee lady. She comes and goes. She works. She doesn't work. But I think more interactive NPCs. I think Twitch and Eckhart and these kind of people in the world are extremely helpful. And I think the reliance on the Moby Glass reducing slowly over time. and maybe even to an extent more helpful characters around. Just the fact that you can maybe go up to the person at the rental for your ship and be able to ask them questions about where am I, how do I get to my ship, how do I find, and then they could actually answer you and provide some kind of not tutorial necessarily, but just everyone is kind of helpful that you bump into, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And maybe there's a few personalities around the town.
Yeah, I was just say more interactive. Like walking up to the
more NPCs, more interaction. Yeah, for sure.
Being able to walk up to someone and be like, "Hey, where's the Whammers?" Or where's the spaceport? And they can point you like, "Oh, it's that way." Or walk up to a dude.
More conversations between NPCs and things like that. I think fleshing out the world from that point of view would definitely increase immersion. I think it's all world building, to be honest. Okay. I think players are going to do what players are going to do, and people are going to ruin your immersion everywhere you go. There's no way to stop it, really, especially with the multi-tool now, the salvaging, guaranteed there's going to be some immersion breaking art pieces on the side of an 890 jump that you fly next to,
Is that immersion breaking? Because I think humans, no matter where they are, I'll be drawing some very specific body parts on other people's vehicles for time immemorial.
Yeah, graffiti's a fact of life, guys. It's a fact of life.
Zark, same question to you. What would you like to see CIG add that you think would add more immersion to the gameplay experience?
I've had 3 minutes to think about the question, and I couldn't come up with something. But I will say I think the media gameplay, because that is all that I have been focused on mostly, needs some immersion to be built into it. We have the Mako, which is a dedicated media ship, and I'm hoping for ships like the Galaxy, for example, where there's going to be a lot of modules that are going to add gameplay to the ship. That we're going to see modules like media modules, where you could actually make a green screen or a blue screen on the ship, and you could have like a little studio setup, and you can produce talk shows or podcasts from inside the game, and I think that is going to be adding a lot of immersion. Seeing other people inside the game that are real. I mean, I agree very much on your point, Expat. Well, as well with NPCs that are being able to adhere to commands. You could have crew members or something. The blades, is that what they're called, blades, right? Anyways, you're going to be able to have NPCs walking around your ship and you give them orders and stuff like that. That'd be really cool. But having some interaction with actual players, that is seeing them doing something like that on a screen, like a podcast or a talk show in game, that would be really cool.
Awesome.
And I have an example here from what I do right now for the. This is Oliver. He's in front of his blue screen in game, and I can change his. I can put some. Let's see here. I can put a background on him. Like I just key out the background, and I have another background behind him. Same background as I am on now, but the actual place that I'm on is right here.
Yeah, in the hangar.
So it's not very.
Oh,
yeah, it's on the it's on the roof of the hangar here in New Babbage, or the same hangar in Orson.
You found a blue screen. That's awesome.
I found a blue screen, and I've been looking around a lot. I've used the gas clouds outside of ArcCorp.
Oh, that's what that guy's doing up there. Oh my, he's recording a show.
That's a little immersion breaking. You're taking out your ship, and you're like, "What? I recognize that reporter. What is he doing up on the
on the hangar ceiling?"
We're here live in Hangar 5. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the show. And you're just like, "What the hell are you doing?" Security.
So yeah, that's something that I'm really looking forward to. Them CIG taking some, adding some bits and pieces to the media gameplay.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll kind of going forward with this. Would there be anything that you specifically would like to see be added that would help your levels of immersion? If that's different from what would have the overall immersion. I'll start with you on that, Zark.
Something that would add to my immersion?
Or like to help you with your own content as well, like things like better camera controls. You talked about like a media module for like
sure,
Galaxy
yeah,
and stuff.
green screens and blue screens, yeah, definitely. And when it comes to camera control, I would really like to be able to release the camera. So I release it, and then I can walk individually and have the camera be still. Because now the camera is very much fixed on my character. So whenever I move, the camera moves with me. Unless I'm on a ship and set up the third-person view, but that's a little bit complicated, and it's only available on ships. But that would be great for machinima. It would open up a whole new world of shots.
Same question with you, Expat. Would it be anything that CIG could add to improve your own content that would improve your process and everything?
It's a tricky one, really. At the end of the day, the less jank, the more it all looks like it's real, you know. Like just maybe it'll come in time. I think just like, you know, polishing up some of the ships, polishing up some of the animations, you know, having more animation options, and you know, being able to you know, just little things like you know, once the net code is straightened out, you know, having the smooth motion of other players, you know, interacting around you and interacting with objects and things like that will help a lot. Also, the VoIP and FOIP working between players, you know, pretty consistently. You know, right now it's kind of hit or miss whether your VoIP and FOIP is actually being translated. But yeah, just overall balance. I think it's already this is better than anything else I've tried. The camera systems are really impressive. I think I'm actually a cinematographer in real life. That's what I do as a job.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that the cameras in Star Citizen behave quite similarly to cameras that we use outside of Star Citizen. The fact that I've got depth of field control, I've got lens control, I've got you know, I can pan the camera around, and yeah, I mean, with a few different tricks that I've developed, it can look really impressive and look quite realistic. So yeah, more camera stuff. I'm all for it. Although the camera stuff does, I hate to say it and I hate to bring it up because it might completely screw me in the future for my own content, but it's about the game, not the content, right? It's, you know, I wonder if this is going to provide an advantage to me in combat and things like that. And I wonder if it's going to eventually require me to buy a drone, you know, like, so maybe I've got all this camera features and all this is great, but it has to be attached to some kind of drone that, you know, I have to operate, as opposed to, you know, just being attached to my character. As fun as this is, I can't necessarily see it lasting just because of game balancing. I mean, I can look around corners, I can look through objects, I can, you know, it's fun in games now, but when the game's actually released and people actually have something to lose, I can imagine people complaining that, well, I mean, they're wall hacking basically because they're able to put the camera around the side, and you know what I mean.
Yeah. I do wonder sometimes if CIG could still keep the third person camera because there are other games. I played MechWarrior Online for a while, and MechWarrior Online has a third person mode. And the thing about the third person mode is that when you do a third person mode, it would actually physicalize a little drone that would come off of your mech and kind of pull back, so players could see that there's somebody peeking with their drone over the corner. So it was like
that's an interesting one, yeah.
As a way of
so at least they know I'm what I'm doing, you know, and they could see the camera and they could see, exactly. It would be a shame for this to go, you know, because I have so much fun with it, and you are able to make some amazing machinima, and it is great for content creation, but yeah, I think I think like you were saying about the Mako and things like that, having a more like having an established game loop that involved some tools, and even being able to tap into camera feeds, and maybe being able to output them separately from your game or something like that to make it work. I don't know exactly how they would do it or anything like that. It's certainly something down the line. While it's in alpha, it probably doesn't matter so much, but later down the line, I think this is going to become a conversation that is going to have to be had.
Yeah, I was gonna say like there's other things I've always thought about which is like, for instance, I've played other games that sort of experimented with this, and some games that are basically built around this, which is having camera controls in the sense of, like hacking gameplay and stuff like that, having a player who hacks into a ship that you're targeting, and then that player can then hack into the camera controls in the ship, and they can like see all of what's going on in the ship and report all that information to the people who are boarding the ship. Those sorts of experiences I could definitely see. And if you have camera controls in your ships, if each ship has some sort of small camera that's attached inside of it, or you can install one for like security purposes, that were also really good for machinima, because you can do like dolly shots and other things like that where where you're walking and stuff like that. So.
Or like limiting the distance that your personal camera can go versus, if you get a specific dedicated like type of camera thing would be one way around it, perhaps, because I mean everyone loves Screenshot Citizen as well, and the camera stuff is amazing for that, and I think when you're looking at the side of Star Citizen which like enjoys living in the universe and like kind of role playing and stuff like that, and immersing themselves, I think the cameras are extremely important to that. And, maybe should you go into like a PvP zone, or like, I don't want to say there should be any zone for anything and you're not allowed to do things, whereas you can do them over here. But like, like Star Marine, I can't do my cameras in Star Marine, for example. And that's a competitive game mode,
Yeah.
And that seems fair enough,
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's going to be wrapping up our kind of discussion for today. We'll be moving on to the question and answers. If you're watching this after the fact, if you're watching this on YouTube after the fact, make sure you are, first off, going to twitch.tv/expatbrat, following her there, subscribing, give her money, throw money at Expat.
What?
That's
streamer privilege.
Go to Zark Media, right? It's Zark_media.
That's right.
Go to Zark Media, watch all the stuff, subscribe, throw super chats at him, throw money at him. Both of these two wonderful content creators deserve your time, your effort, your patronage, and so on and so forth. So go watch their stuff. They're fantastic creators. And if you're watching this, make sure you join us live on Saturdays at 6, usually at 6 p.m. No, I'm wrong. Yes, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. Twitch.tv/TheAstroPub and YouTube.com/TheAstroPubLive. Come and ask your own questions and hang out. And if you wanted to see the question and answer session, there'll be a link right above Expat's camera, right there, very top. Click that link, and you'll be able to watch this, the full VOD of everything we did. I've separated them out. I'm separating them out now because YouTube doesn't like when I drop those two videos at the same time. So it's still available for those people who want to watch the VODs. So watch the Q&As. But if this is it, thank you so much for joining us. Like I say every time, hope to see you someday in the black.
So in and out.
30 minutes. Bam, boom. I try to respect people's time and effort. So if you want to use the restroom, grab something to drink, send with you chat. If you want to do any of that, now's the time. We're going to be moving over to the question and answer session here shortly. So make sure to open up some of the questions.
Good. I've never had someone say, "Go and throw money at her."
Yes.
I'm like, yeah. Hey guys. Let me take off these undersuits here and
Let me take off my helmet so it's getting a little steamy.
Let me take off my yeah.
Yes, we're still live. We know we're still live, Jacob. We're still live, but I'm finished the recording. 18. So, yeah. All right, let's do this.
Is there someone who said in chat this was a very advanced pre-recording?
This is a very advanced pre-recording. Yeah, someone in chat said that.
I am an artificially intelligent life form. The intelligent part of my AI is still questionable.
All right. So yeah, so this is where chat will ask their own questions. If you're on YouTube, I just started the Q&A, so you can feel free to ask your questions at the Q&A. And if you're on Twitch, the very bottom of the chat, you'll your little gold coin. You click that coin. One of the first options is Captain's Table question. You click that, then type your question in chat, and both of those will be added to a list where I can collate that and all that kind of stuff. So. Let's go. Yeah, I was actually saying, do you know Mythomatic? Expat?
I do not know Mythomatic. What does Mythomatic do?
Mythomatic does full cinematic RP Star Citizen where he plays a character, and he goes around and talks with people and engages with them and all kinds of stuff.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. He hasn't done Star Citizen in a bit because
there's more of us.
Yeah, he does. He's been focusing on. He does like a lot of like GTA RP and Red Dead RP and some of those other ones. He does like TTRPG stuff as well. But he does every so often. When he comes back to Star Citizen, he likes to do that. So he'd be a cool person to collab with. So.
It's a little bit like has anyone ever asked like where you're from, and then like once they find out where you're from and they know someone from there, they say, "Wait, don't tell me you know."
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's a big place.
It's a big place.
You know that person. They're doing the same type of content. Yeah.
You must know that.
We
all sit in a room together.
The chat's telling me he's actually renamed himself as Cord. His name is Cord. That's his full name, CORD. So
okay,
Cord. Yeah. So
well,
I didn't know.
I bump into him and we have an RP off.
Yeah, there we go. He usually plays.
I will not break my immersion before you do.
He plays a pilot by the name of which is like his name's Bear. I don't remember his full name, but he plays a pilot, an old grizzled pilot by the name of Bear. So and Meyer too. I don't know if you've
Naughty
met Meyer.
Bear. I've yet to meet that individual, but hopefully I do.
Yeah.
And hopefully they're in full RP mode when they meet me.
If they're in game, they probably are.
Nice.
So, all right, Zark, you good to go?
I'm good.
You good? All right. I think I'm good. You good there, Expat?
I'm ready.
All right. Let's move over to the question answers. All right. Now it's time for the question answer session. This is where we've taken questions from chat, from YouTube and Twitch, and we're going to answer them live. If you haven't already done so, if you're catching us from the pre-record, if you're catching us from the recorded section that we released after this, make sure you, of course, follow in Expat, Brat, and Zark on their social medias, and you can join us live at twitch.tv/TheAstroPub, youtube.com/TheAstroPubLive on Saturdays at 3 p.m. Pacific and 6 p.m. Eastern. So. Pre-recorded. He said it's not pre-recorded.
Like and subscribe, guys.
Lick and subscribe. Let's see if I have everything up.
Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you know
to do that. Yeah.
Hey, look, I'm on YouTube, guys.
Okay, here's a question. Gin and Tonic asks, where did Expat Brat get their avatar?
Oh. Well, I bought it off some dodgy guy in the no. Where did I get my avatar? In the character creation screen, funny enough. But I pretty much looked at all the different avatars, and I did a little full head addition to the default face, and I used to have a little short haircut, and then I changed it when I was doing a pirate episode, where I was going undercover, and I ended up with this haircut. So yeah,
nice.
That's where it came from. It's in the game.
I think a lot of people, because like I even noticed is like it's very nice smooth movements and animations, and I know you're probably doing using like emote stuff and stuff like that to help you smooth it out, right?
Oh yeah, a little bit, but it's also a mix of like mouse smoothing and yeah, I've pretty much been pretty straight up with people and say like everything I do is available in game. I use a very basic webcam up there. It's just like the old Logitech standard webcam. I think it's about 10 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I have a little light up there so that it can see my face without any issues. And then I go into OBS and I customize the camera, the webcam, so that it's like as fully zoomed in as on my face as possible to give it the best chance to give clear and precise mouth movements, eye movements, blinks, winks and stuff like that.
Nice.
Yeah, it's pretty. Everything could be done.
Nice. Yeah, because we've had people who have who are VTubers and such on here before who do similar. So I think Jin thought like, is she using a full rig VR model or something like that? It's like, no, it's just character. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just character creation and everything available in game.
So Ionic Gecko asks, how is everyone doing tonight? Zark, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. This is the first time I use this setup since I changed my apartment, and it seems to be working, except that I had a blue screen 1 second after connecting to your call, so I had to reboot everything. But other than that, it seems to be working fine. I'm well. It's the weekend. It's I'm great.
You still living out of boxes, or have you managed to unpack everything?
Well, I prioritized certain rooms, like the room with the computer, for example, and my kids' room and the bedroom. But the rest is a little bit of a mix of how organized it is.
Expat,
there are boxes. Yeah.
There are boxes. Yeah, there always are. You're at Whammers?
Well, I'm doing absolutely fine, thanks to the amazing people at Whammers Burgers. I've had a couple of Whammies burgers and a Pips earlier on, and it's keeping me going. All that fake meat is absolutely wonderful.
It's Space Cow, all right? It's Space Cow.
Nice. That's my 20%. It's my 20% off for the day. Yeah, nice.
Yes.
Thanks.
There you go. I'm doing okay. I wasn't able to get into the game last night, and so I went to bed kind of just like a little bummed that everyone I knew who was streaming and making content was getting in and playing, and I'm just like, no. But then I got in today and was able to get a few like a game is a couple hours in, and I was like, oh, this is pretty nice. So doing much better.
Nice. You had withdrawal symptoms.
Yes, I haven't played Star Citizen in 2 weeks because my parents came over to visit for last weekend. So I've just been like, I haven't played a video game in so long.
Yeah, likewise. I actually managed to get myself out of this simulation, and I discovered other games. And then I logged back into Star Citizen after not being in it for quite a while, and I was like, wow, this thing looks good.
All right. Next question comes from NovA42, who asks, what was your first ship, your favorite ship, and your dream holy grail ship? I'll start with you on this one, Expat.
So first ship was the 100i, which I got as a little starter package. It was quickly upgraded to an Avenger Titan because, it can pretty much do everything. What was the second one? Favorite ship?
Yes.
It's a real tough one. I believe that my favorite ship is not 100% complete in the game yet, and it's got to be whatever the updated Connie Phoenix is going to be.
Okay.
There's something about the Connie Phoenix. I just really like it.
And your holy grail ship, like your dream holy grail
holy
ship.
Grail ship.
Like a ship, it can either be a ship that's in production that's not out yet, or something that you would love to see.
What? I really hope they do a great job on the what's the Galactic Starliner?
Genesis.
That huge like Yeah, the Genesis Starliner. I just think that's going to be so fun. Like if they can do like a really good job on that and have like genuinely like an airplane feel inside, you know, with like rows and seats, and you can trundle down the aisle with a trolley. Would you like chicken or fish? You know, it'd be just so fun. But yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of cool ships coming out. It's really hard to choose.
Zark, same question. Your first ship, your favorite ship, and your dream Holy Grail ship.
My first ship was an Aurora.
MR?
I had it in my hangar I didn't play the game. It was when we only had the hangar section. I logged in once, and I thought it was super bad, and it was gonna flunk or flop, whatever the term is. So I didn't log in for a couple of years, and then I got back in, and I flew the Aurora, and I was like, oh, I liked it. It was when 3.0 launched, where you could actually fly to different planets. So I was like, I like this, but I do not like the ship. So I upgraded that quickly. Had a Cutlass Black for a while, and then when I started the YouTube thing, I wanted Oliver to have like like his favorite. I didn't want to play my favorite ship. I wanted him to have like a character favorite ship. So I upgraded it to a 600i, which is the ship that I fly now. Nice. And I love it. Personally, I love it, and it fits the character really well too. But I like the 600i. I'm very much looking forward to the. Yeah, it's definitely my favorite ship. It's great for solo pilots.
Nice.
You could shoot just about anything as a solo pilot. You have the elevator. You have a gold standard rework to look forward to. With a med bay, it's. I mean, everything is just on point with that ship right now.
Nice.
And my gold standard ship, or what was it? Your Holy Grail ship?
Grail ship. That's what the ship that you'd love to see in the game.
I'm like you, Expat. I'm really looking forward to the Starliner. When they had it on the roadmap for 317 or 318, that you were going to be able to haul like taxi passengers. They had it on the roadmap for a couple months, and then they removed it, and I was so bummed because I was like, oh, they're starting the like Starliner career. Like, this is great. But I'm looking forward to that gameplay edition and the ship too. And the Endeavor.
Personal transport is a great RP endeavor. You know what I mean? It's going to be a lot of socializing, and I think even the average player is going to be able to get into it and be like, "Oh, hello, you know, oh, I got my ticket. Yes, here, please let me take your ticket." You know, there's so many cool options for that.
Yeah, I agree. I started playing Elite again. I stopped it a couple of years, but I started playing it when they had a patch that you were going to be able to haul passengers from one system to another. But then I was so bummed that I couldn't see them. So, because they're like cargo, basically.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to be able to see my passengers. And the what's it called? The Spirit? The E1, like executive transport. That is going to be great to see. I think maybe that they add that when they're going to try to add the passenger thingy as well. But we'll see.
All right, we got from Deep Light Gaming asks, when is the earliest you think we'll see the physical lockers and helmet rework? Start with you, Zark, on this one.
The earliest?
Yeah.
I have no idea. I think after 4.0, if I'm being realistic. I don't think it's going to be in 4.0. I think it's going to be in some patches after, because they're probably going to need to see how inventory relates to system changing, like from Pyro to Stanton and back and forth like that. And it's probably going to be easier to just transport a player rather than a whole ship of inventory bits and pieces that are physicalized. And I think it's going to be in 1 or 2 patches after 4.0. And I mean, it could even be like far after that. I have no idea. But that's what I'm hoping for, at least. The physicalized bit is really something that adds to immersion too, and I'm looking forward to.
Brat, same question. When do you think we're going to see the earliest you think we'll see physical lockers and helmet rework?
Well, helmets are the bane of my existence as someone who has the camera pointed at her face most of the day. And I noticed a little thing about the lights in the helmets now cull. I used to use a one of those helmets with a light on it, and now the helmet light culling is like really close now. So you can't see my face when in certain scenarios if I use certain helmets and stuff. So yeah, helmets with little lights on and helmet rework would be amazing. When it's going to come, you know what? It's just not a priority, and I think persistence. And the server tech and all that kind of stuff is going to be way more significant and requires way more attention. So I would not expect that until 4.0. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, the thing is, I say that, but at the end of the day, like there are teams that are working on this, and there's teams that are working on this, and there's teams that are working on this. And what I noticed with 3.18 was the number of things that got introduced that were not headline items, right? That were not on the, that were not necessarily like, big highlighted items that made the big videos and the big promotions. But there were so many little tweaks and little things added and little adjustments that I just feel like get thrown in there because they're ready, So, I mean, something like that could just sneak up on you and just like suddenly be there, in an iterative patch.
Yeah. All right. Next question comes from NovA42, who asks, what are your top 3 favorite ship paints? I'll start with you on this one, Zark.
The IAE blue tinted metallic ship for the 600i from, I think it was last year, is one of my favorites.
Own it.
Yeah, you too? Nice. We should have a meetup sometime with people who own it. It's a special club for those people. It's really nice. And did you say top 3?
Top 3. If you don't have 3, whichever ones.
I like the rework that I have a friend in the HubNet organization called Trustworthy Man, and he's really going at it, finding all of these different unique ships. He really put some time and effort into getting the paint jobs that are hard to come by. And he really likes showing them off too, so I get to see some of them. And I saw they recently changed the paint job for the first IAE paint for the Hammerhead, which was white and pink. It was probably one of the ugliest skins, but now it's one of the prettiest ones with black and pink, and I really like it. It's beautiful. And I also like the paint job for the Ursa that comes with the Emerald Phoenix. Looks like a little Christmas rover. It's like red and green. It's nice.
Green. Brat, same question. Your top 3 favorite ship paints.
Well, I went out on my way to make sure I had a full set of the metallic blue from IAE 2951, I believe. I made sure to get myself a Cutlass Black, the white and gold. I think it's 2950. I've become a little bit of a collector on the side, thanks to Twitch's generosity and my inhibition to spend money. But
spend money on chips.
Yeah. Pokemon syndrome. I think anything that's got shiny metallic is good. I think even the new 600i paint was really cool. But I tell you what, I know it's potentially gaudy, and I know it's really wrong to like this because of what it means and all this kind of stuff. But the black and gold 600i, I just think is so outrageous. I kind of love it in a way. It's just like, yep. Yeah, that's what I did.
I have to admit,
like
that's my favorite is probably the Mistwalker skin for the Cutlass, because it just like the Cutlass skins, almost all of them are really well done. I've not seen a Cutlass skin that I just been like, no, that's bad. Like even like the Ghoulish Green and the other ones are pretty good. And I really like the limited skin for the MSR. The one that you got if you were part of like the hunt down.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's really
black
nice.
And gold
it's
one?
Really nice.
The black and gold one.
Oh, that's Night Rider. I
Yeah,
mean,
the
but
Knight Rider.
Night Runner, Night Runner.
Night Runner,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, it's that is like the biggest flex people do to me, because it's supposed to be the advocacy skin,
Yeah.
and I don't have it, and so every now and again, was it? I don't know if you know Red Lear, but he
Lear.
yeah, he always teases me. He always teases me about all the skins he's got, and then he pulls out the was it the kitten, Star Kitten, which I think is, again, like super outrageous, and I think it's so
I love
cool.
it. People always ask for more Star Kitten stuff. Like, we need more Star Kitten skins on everything. So.
Oh, but I was so happy when they came up with those racing blue skins. The ones that can we actually use those now? The racing blue.
I think we can. Yeah.
Cycle. Oh my God. Okay, I gotta go to the hangar now. I like everything that matches. I like to match my armor with my ship, with my, the whole thing. I love when everything like matches. When you look good, you fly good.
And I have to agree with you. My third top is the black and gold to 600i. Because I was never that was never like a thing that I wanted, but I always wanted to, because I do kind of role play stuff with every so often that's like actually running a bar. So I'm always looking
finally.
Finally the 330K. But I always do this black and gold, the black and golds, or I always do 600 for like kind of the bar thing. And the black and gold just looks so good. It's just so good of a skin. All right. We'll go for the next question. I'll say some of this stuff for.
Stand by. We are currently experiencing a technical issue.
Yeah.
Expat Brat will return in a moment.
Let's start with all right, how about this? I'll start with you, Zark, on this one. Are there any particularly improved / new features that are coming with 318 that we were looking forward to? For example, the new render for the graphics, camera, movement, etc.
Yeah, for sure. The render is a great example, because it enabled me with my PC setup to film in Orison without some super lag, which was practically yeah, exactly. I was trying to make a machinima in Orison for quite a while, and I always had to make it out on the platforms where we had the event for the Ninetales, because the FPS there was better. Or try to like search my friends list for someone who was on a server with like 1 or 2 people on, and that worked great. But yeah, that's been an improvement, actually. I can film in Orison at around 30 FPS, and that's great. And that's after Vulkan been added.
Okay. And Brat, same question to you. Are there any particular features in 318 that you're looking forward to that they use the example of renderer for graphics and new camera movement? Is there anything else specifically?
I just want to say a big thank you to Shift Click Guy. Whoever Shift Click Guy is, whoever you are, wherever you are, Shift Click Guy, you're a hero. At the end of the day, like, inventory management and everything was, I know there's a lot of people out there, including a friend of mine, Chaos Gabriel, who loves the idea of, physicalized everything, and that inventory should be taking time to move. But at the end of the day, like, just being able to manage your inventory a lot more seamlessly is a big help. And being able to get from here, to space quicker, and managing your stuff is super cool. It's all the little things. FOIP has improved. The globe, I don't know if you know it, like you're a big fan of the 600i, guys, and the globe in the 600i doesn't clip through your character's face anymore. And there's all kinds of amazing little tweaks that the rendering engine is. Yeah, it's all kind of little tweaks that the rendering engine and consistency and smoothness and all this kind of stuff. 318 is actually running really well on live. I know this is a crazy thing to say, but 318 is actually running really good for me on live compared to how it was on the PTU, frame rate wise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll echo that. It's just the general performance of the game is much higher than it used to be. It feels better. I was getting 60 FPS at ArcCorp, and I was like, "This is super smooth. I've never had this smooth level
Yeah.
Right.
as for as long. I usually have like 60 FPS, and then turn a corner, and then it just drops. But now it's just almost much more consistent throughout it.
Yeah, there
Did
was
they
lots of
fix the
hiccups and
signs on
stuff
ArcCorp
before.
too?
Yeah,
Like you could
they've-
always see the fizz sign, or is that fixed too?
No, it hasn't fixed. That hasn't quite fixed yet. But
Oh, okay.
what were you gonna say, Brat?
Yeah, just there's so many things, including a FOIP in Quantum. FOIP in Quantum wasn't possible before, or else for most ships it didn't even work. And now I've got FOIP in Quantum. Apparently the guys in Austin are a fan of the stream, so it's one of the things that I always requested. They've taken time away from developing the useful things in the game, and they decided to give me
fix,
fake
yes,
voice.
for
FOIP in Quantum.
for features. I know a lot of those people who work at Austin because I live in Austin, so I know of a few of the developers.
Oh, nice.
Who
Yeah,
like
they're
they
super
were
cool.
they were fans of mine, and then they went to work for CIG. So I have this long running joke where like one of these days the curse is if you want to work for CIG, just come out, hang out in my chat. Eventually, you'll end up getting a job there. Because I've been doing this for so long.
There's hope for me being in the game.
They specifically they specifically are very good at like watching. They watch a lot of the content creators, and they very are interested in the FOIP and the VoIP stuff because it's like if they can get it to work properly, they know that it's not just content creators who use it and like to use that sort of thing. So.
To be honest, this kind of stuff, I mean, the cinematic cameras and the all this kind of stuff, I mean, it really, not to say that it should just be an exclusive promotional and marketing tool, but like it is something that nobody sees, you know what I mean? And when you jump into a stream and you see the whole cameras working and the music going and the whole thing's working and it's actual gameplay, like you can actually do this in the game. It is something amazing, and it does definitely separate the game from anything else. Yeah, I used to say jokingly, "Hey guys, I don't necessarily sell Star Citizen, but I definitely sell paints." As I do like amazing cinematic, around these new ship paints and stuff, And now they I mean I'm totally honest about it. Now they send me stuff. I've got a 400i sitting in the hangar that I need to go take for a spin. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I feel that one. I will say for 318's improvements, the big thing that for me was trading. The trade consoles are so much better than they used to. It's one of those things that a lot of people don't think about, but I know a lot of people who do trade as gameplay, like commodity trading, and they were concerned that 318 was going to be just no updates for them. But the fact that now I'll not only see what's available, but what's requested and how much they have is huge. It means you can actually plan out routes. And if you go to a place and you go, oh, they have plenty of this one commodity, I can go back and get another commodity, which makes it a lot easier to plan and to actually do that gameplay. Because you can also sit there and see what they actually need, and you don't have to go through a third-party app to get that. So, all right. So this is going to be a long. There's a lot of questions about this one, and I'll start with the general question because I think this fits for both you, Expat, and for you, Zark, because you both make content with FOIP and such. Is there any tips or tricks as to smoothing out the FOIP experience or to get better captures with FOIP? Start with you on this one, Brat.
Shave the beard off, guys. Yeah. I'm sorry. You look amazing on your Harley Davidson, but it's gotta go.
This is fine though. I just want to add that.
Oh, does that work okay? So like a little so a goatee and a little bit, you're good to go.
Yeah.
Well, it's definitely improved then. That was the number one complaint I would always get in my chat was, I can't do what you do because, I've got a beard. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I don't know how that feels. But are you saying that it actually works really well now?
Yeah, I mean, I've always had this beard. Not always, obviously, but I've had it for at least longer than Star Citizen has been around. And I think it's worked well all the time, actually.
So Nagita in the chat says glasses are a pain. I wear glasses, so there's ways around it. Like I said, in your advanced camera controls, if you have a software like OBS, or if you can get into your advanced controls on Windows for your webcam, you do just want to zoom it in, try and get your entire face on the camera. Don't have the camera don't be tiny in the frame. Be nice big face in the frame. Make sure you're properly lit, and also some people have issues with their FOIP where it's not smooth and stuff like that, and it's like jittery. A lot of that has to do with the fact that like your camera is trying to compensate for low light, and so the shutter speed goes really low. You want to make sure your shutter speed is high. If you look smooth on your camera when you're just looking at your face and stuff like that, it will be smooth on the FOIP. And also make sure your face is lit so your camera isn't too grainy, because grain will cause jitters and things like that. So make sure it can see your face nice and easily. So you should take control. Take advanced control.
Yes. And I'll add to this as well. Don't blast light directly at you, because it's very difficult to do anything when you have a light beaming in your face. Try to do cross out shadows as much as possible. Having two light sources that are coming at different angles to kind of light your face evenly is nice. It's different from most like cinematic lighting when you're trying to want to create the right kind of shadows and stuff like that, because that's mostly for picking up for camera purposes and for emotional purposes. You want to make sure that the camera can see all the details in your face and move.
Exactly, and a lot of people don't know about the recalibration button. So on your numpad, there's like a little star icon next to the minus symbol, and I'm hitting that like all the time, right? So I'll recalibrate constantly. Okay, so I open my lips just a little bit, make sure my eyes are slightly closed or not too closed, and then I will hit the recalibrate button, and I'll reset back to normal. So if you see if your face is glitching or anything, just continue to calibrate, and it fixes up pretty good.
Zark,
I do the exact same thing. Yeah, I do the exact same thing, and I wanted to add that you can make opposite expressions. Actually, if you want your character to look really angry or happy or whatever, you could make an opposite expression to your face, and then press your recalibration button, like Expat is talking about.
As you can see.
Yeah, which means that if you're really like putting on like heightened eyebrows and like a worried look like this, and then you press that for your normal, that becomes the normal for your face. So when you relax, you get the opposite expression of that, which means that you can relax but still have your character look very much the opposite. Your eyebrows down and your mouth down or straight, or
yeah. Okay.
So
camera doesn't seem to matter. The only thing I'll say is that I've heard people who got 60 FPS 4K cameras to use it, and people who have like barely 720 30 FPS cameras. It doesn't matter as much. What really matters is more of the other aspects for it. So
I mean, it basically, most of the time it operates around 19 to 20 FPS anyway. The just the system itself can only operate at a certain speed for tracking. So it's just more important that you deliver it the most the best image possible. You know, deliver the system the best image you can, and it will react. You know.
And get to know your camera. I want to add that too, because I have two different ones. One that I use now for my face, and the other one is also an old Logitech actually, but it's very much less sensitive to light. So when I do the FOIP, I really need to push the light on my face, because the actual camera it picks up so little. So when I add light, I add FPS to the camera as well. But that doesn't happen with this camera. If I add light to this camera, it just becomes white, and the camera doesn't pick up anything for FOIP. So get to know your setup. If you have glasses, you can put your lights up a little bit so the reflection doesn't disturb the image. Exactly. Yeah. And things like that. Yeah, so get to know your setup.
Hey, it's Nick in the chat. Sorry to interrupt. Hey, Nick is in the chat. I know Nick. And Nick said, FOIP definitely needs more refinement, but they haven't touched FOIP in forever. I don't believe that. I actually do think that 3.18 has seen a refinement in FOIP. I'm pretty certain. I don't know whether it's the characters, maybe they've changed the facial, the ability for the face to move. Like maybe they've limited the amount of movement in the face. But I have found that FOIP in 3.18 is night and day compared to how it used to be. And it's very hard to explain, but maybe they've just changed the way the face animates. I'm not entirely sure.
They've definitely added more animation steps. So for those of you...
I mean, possible.
Yeah. So
maybe I'm a little bit with Nick on this, actually. I don't see any change. What is the change that you see, actually?
So my face doesn't morph out of control as much anymore. I feel like there's a limitation to how much my face can, it used to go really wacky at times, like, rah, now it pretty much controls itself. And the mouth movements and everything seem a lot less pronounced. It looks a lot more realistic.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know.
You could be right. I'm not sure.
Better. Maybe it's hopium. Maybe it's hopium and copium, guys.
Maybe it's hopium.
The thing they've added is they've added a bunch of idle animations for NPCs, and anything that's done for an NPC is also done for characters. And what I've been seeing them say they've been doing is adding steps. So like how animation works is like when you start moving, it starts an animation cycle, and when you stop moving, it has its own animation cycle for you to stop. And they've been adding more steps to those cycles, so it's more smooth when you're moving and when all those sorts of things. They've added more animations to it to try to make it more natural and fluid. And that
I actually wish I had control over that.
Yeah.
The idle animations.
Because sometimes it looks really rude, like especially when I'm on something like this, it looks really rude that like when you're in the middle of talking, I'm checking my watch. Yeah. It's like, I don't mean to do that, guys. It's not me.
It's really weird during a news report as well, as a news anchor, being like, when can I leave work? This is.
There's some stuff there. All right, let me see if I can get this. The next question, there's a lot of questions about like about characters and lore and your own kind of stuff. So, Brat, do you have your own? Does your character? You have a lore for your character? Do you have a backstory? Do you have? And how close does do you stick to it in your interactions or even in your stuff? And does it stick close to the actual Star Citizen lore? So.
Well, I mean, just slowly over time. I mean, I developed my character's lore just over time through many streams and different interactions I got myself into. And, slowly it developed. At some point I bumped into an amazing streamer called Library Science. And basically he was in the advocacy, right? And, great artist Steele. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. It's like a law enforcement thing. And those guys are so cool. And so I decided to kind of establish a backstory. And it just so happened that I would always, tell people like, go to Shubin mining, don't go to ArcCorp mining. And over time, I developed the whole like abandoned as a child at Shubin Mining 1 on Daymar, fighting for scraps of food, loading cargo onto cargo ships that would come and go. Life was tough on Daymar, but it taught me the type of skills required to live a difficult life in the verse. And one day, a cargo ship landed. The guy took a walk into the desert sands and never returned. That was my chance. I took all the skill and things I'd read in the magazines of Shubin Mining 1 and got into the controls of that caterpillar and took off to the stars. I didn't know where I was going or what I was going to do, but Hurston was already on his navigational computer, so that's where I went. I crash landed on Hurston, almost died in a fire, but standing above me in the wreckage was a law enforcement officer. He picked me up from the wreckage, and then I knew my purpose in the world. I would fight crime forever. Yeah, so there you go. That's a brief summary.
So you're poor Batman.
Yeah, I'm poor Batman. Yeah, that's my official title, poor Batman.
Poor Batman. Do you ever like because as chat will tell you, I'm big into the Star Citizen lore side of things. Do you ever kind of refer back to lore at all when you do things, or you find out lore and you kind of add it to your backstory, or?
Yeah, so the amazing thing about hanging out with the guys from the book club is they teach me different things about the advocacy and things like that, and I learned about the Messer era. So sometimes when you're testing Star Citizen and you have to get up to some different shenanigans that don't necessarily fit with the traditional form of justice that one would expect in today's day and age. You can kind of pass it off as Messer era tactics when things were a bit more when the advocacy was a bit I don't know, they kind of didn't follow the rule of law. Yeah, but more brutal. Yeah, so yeah. But speaking of law enforcement, actually, and immersion, I've been talking to the guys from a new guild that's popping up, a new corp called SCPD. Have you heard of this?
No.
SCPD. Oh, it's really cool. Basically, these guys have invented a bot that's going to be able to interact with Discord, and they're basically going to act as a judicial system that's outside and inside Star Citizen, a bit like the medic guys, that run around.
Yeah, the med team, and the med runners.
Yeah, the med team. Med runners. Well, these guys are coming up with a Star Citizen police force where, when you're in game, you're going to be able to message these guys and say that your ship has been hijacked, or you need to get some help for whatever reason, and they go in and they go into your server, they investigate the crime. There's a court system that you're going to be able to go into Discord and actually appear in court. And I mean, look, I had my questions, concerns, and suggestions for those guys, and they're still working on things, but it's an amazing example of the community kind of increasing the ability and increasing immersion in the game by taking things into their own hands. If CIG haven't built it yet, there's a community there that's willing to step in. And it's really interesting. So yeah, look out for the SCPD. I think they're coming soon. Nice.
Zark, same question for you. Do you have a full character and backstory, and how close do you stick to the lore?
I try to make Oliver very much like myself, so I wouldn't have to worry about this too much. So I am not very much into the lore, but I'm very heavy on that it has to be lore friendly. It has to be 100% matching to the lore. Mm-hmm. So whenever I do like a news report or whenever I do a machinima piece, I go through Galactopedia on relevant articles that I need for just that work. So after a while, sure, I gotten to know the world as I've been working in it, but I'm not very much into the lore. I don't dive into it on my free time, which is a shame, really. I should. But that made me also create Oliver like a person who he's just happy to have a job. He's a journalist, and that's all he is, and he's following his father's footsteps as a journalist. And he was really happy about having his first job on Hurston, and he didn't have a clue or didn't care about whatever they were doing. He was in the in the opulent part of the city, where the central business district. So people were maybe talking about to him about Hurston being oppressive, but he was like, no, I think everyone are good-hearted and means well. So
now he's
and
off
Hurston
on his own,
are just
right?
feeding me news. Yeah, now he's off on his own, and I needed an out, because I had Oliver and the whole YouTube channel too much connected to an in-game org, like Hurston. So I was thinking, if CIG does anything to the Hurston organization, that means that my content would be vulnerable. Like, what would happen to Oliver? And so I had to get him out of there. So I was looking for like a story for him, and I added a backstory to him, because in the beginning he was just doing his news report on Hurston, and that was just because I found a locale on Hurston that was looking like a newsroom. So then I had a story written where he took off from Hurston, he went and did his own thing. So now it's very much individual, and creating like content inside the game, sort of, but it's outside of the game, but it's very much matching the game. It's lore friendly, all of it. Awesome. So if they add the thing where we could put community content in the game, it would be possible to do that.
All right, let's go to some of these other ones. I think these are all, I've got most of the big ones. So we know it's Oliver Zark, right? And Expat Brat, do you have a character name as well?
No, I'm Special Agent Brat.
Okay.
Expat Brat in game. Just go along with it.
Just Brat.
Same.
Okay.
Just Brat. Yeah.
All right. Get some of that. All right. Here's a good question from. Well, I guess I should answer the question too, because I do also have a RP character, and do all those sorts of things. Like I said, I do bar stuff.
Oh, breaking news! He's also an RPer.
Yes.
Who are you, Paul?
Secret. Who are you?
I'm gonna be. It's pretty simple. I'm just Paul Shelley. That's just. I'm not gonna be super crazy with the name.
Heavy RP, right there.
Heavy RP, right there. But the character's backstory is he's from Magnus. Went off to join the UE
Good
Navy.
Size.
And then after the Navy, he decided he was going to try to open up his own bar, and to do that, he is doing completely legitimate trading that is just finding a service for the community. He's an entrepreneur, you see, kind of thing. And so you just don't ask questions. Where did you get all this rare booze and this exotic material? Don't ask questions you don't want answers to.
Yeah, where did you get that booze? Hey,
don't ask questions.
We better investigate this guy.
So he's a big fan of Drake. Has that kind of the UEE sort of corrupt, and they're not really there to help you, and he's sort of like on the edge of legality, where he'll do his best to keep his face in society, but is going to do anything he possibly can to make money and be successful, sort of thing. So
that's really interesting about RP, actually, how different people create either characters that are very much like themselves, or characters that are sort of like opposites, where you could live out your fantasies, sort of. And I'm not trying to make you like incriminate yourself here, but are there parts of like your life where you're inspired to make your character, or do you want to play like someone completely different, even though his name is Paul Shelley? But
yeah, it's a little bit about. It's mostly I found out like I really like the smuggling gameplay and that kind of style, and and because I like the smuggling gameplay, I was like, well, I got to figure out a character who can do that. So there's some parts of me in there for sure. I tend to be fairly, since I was a kid, it was one of those things where when people are like, you can't do that, I'll be like, I'm going to do it because you said I can't. I'm going to do it because it's just who I am. So that's the sort of that little bit in there, but the rest of it just kind of came around as I studied lore and was playing in the game, which is like I really like Drake stuff, and Magnus seems like a really cool place to be from. It has that kind of rebel mentality, and that works well with my own kind of personality, and as well as it works well with the gameplay stuff. So it's just kind of like that. Did you find the same?
Well, I look forward to giving you a fine.
to be a regular in court.
Special Agent Brat.
Yeah. Listen, the whole the concept of the bar is anyone's welcome. So I'm not saying I will sell out people for money, but I'm not saying I'm selling out people for money. So
Got it. Let it be unsaid.
yeah,
That's wise.
All right, let's move on to the next question, which is from Gin and Tonic, who asks, with all of the folderol, I guess I'm just saying, like all of the hullabaloo, all the kind of stuff around ChatGPT and AI, how long do you think it's before CIG starts using it to drive NPCs and communicating with them? Zark, what are your thoughts?
I'm generally about AI. I'm very much under the impression that it's not dangerous and it's supposed to be used as a tool.
Mm-hmm.
So using it as a tool, as an artist, it would be great. I mean, sure, the writing changes its core from being creative to more like technical. Like how well can you write a prompt for an AI to create it becomes sort of more like a science more than writing and creative. But I think since it's available and it's possible to create content like NPC conversations in bulk, which is great for a game like this, to fill out the whole universe with NPCs that are going to be so much more diverse than if you played Elder Scrolls, for example, where you hear like the same exact line. The game world is like too big, there are too many characters, and they have too few voice actors. And you hear the exact same thing. Everyone's been shot in the knee, and I mean the game is great, but you get my point, surely. So yeah, I think whenever they do it, sure, let the AI tech just adapt a little bit, because it's very much in its infancy and it could go wherever. And but I'm definitely open to that. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to add to a more diverse game world for us.
Okay. Expat Brat, do you think we'll see? How long do you think it will be before we see CIG start using AI tools to help them kind of create NPCs and so on and so forth, help them drive their communication and interaction with players?
Well, as someone who gets mistaken for AI on a regular basis, I just want CIG to know I'm open for the opportunity to help you with the AI. I'm clearly convincing enough myself, so I can definitely feed it some of my lines. I think it's going to be. I think first it's going to have to start with like just scripting, pathing, all that kind of stuff. The combat AI and stuff is going to have to improve with the server tick rates and all that kind of stuff, and just kind of so I think the AI from like a gameplay perspective, enjoyment perspective, ship combat perspective is going to have to improve and become more solid before we see some of the flourishes and some of the kind of immersion that we were talking about earlier. I think it might. I think it'll take time. I think there's a lot more on the schedule. There's a lot more to do, but maybe I don't know. Maybe I don't know. A year from now, we might start seeing AI that's able to direct you to missions, or be able to walk up to you randomly and engage with you, and maybe deliver a mission or a helpful piece of info or something like that.
Or like a warning. Like,
yeah,
we're watching you.
Yeah, like a warning, or exactly. The Ninetales, they've got your. It's hard to say. It's hard to say. I hope it comes sooner than later, but I don't necessarily see it as a big priority at the moment. There's a lot more on the list.
Yeah. It's funny that Jen asked this question, because CIG recently, or somebody from CIG recently, addressed a comment about ChatGPT usage for CIG, and the person who responded, I think it was King CIG, I don't know who that is, basically said, if it was a tool, we'd definitely develop it in-house. We wouldn't use a ChatGPT service because it's too public, and because it's too public, it would all of our assets would also be used for them. It would feed back into that thing, so that if they'd have it to do it, they do it on the in-house in-house. I don't think it's too out of the idea, like too out of the loop, but like any tool that CIG does, people talk a lot about AI now in video games, or just AI in general, but video games have been using AI technology where, you know, the AI or like a tool does something for them for 30, 40 years. Like that sort of technology.
Right.
Is
Look at procedural
of,
regeneration. That's been going on since forever.
It's been going on since the 90s, you know? So like there are tools for this sort of content that's existed for the actual development of games forever. And I could still see it being used, especially to make things more interesting for games. But I still think it's still a little ways away, because anything that's going to be done, CIG will have to do it in-house so that they know that they own it, so that they're developing it for themselves rather than using an outsourced service, because there's also some legal complications with ChatGPT and those sorts of AI services, because where are they getting their information to train the AI, so it's more of a question about there's a lot of other business concerns before you can even start getting to the technical concerns. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I still think it should be AI in general should be you know quite limited to a certain amount of actions in the verse, because you know ideally when Star Citizen when you know whatever you want to say, Star Citizen becomes you know to the scale at which they're talking about, where you know you've got thousands of players, you know, I'm really hoping that they're able to flesh out the mechanics of gameplay to offer the player base to fill out, you know, the jobs and fill out the transportation and fill out the medical and fill out the police force and stuff like that, more so than the AI. I think the AI could help, and I think the AI could be, you know, just kind of helping along and just creating a immersive environment. But it would be great for so much of the stuff to be player driven. You know, that they balance it in such a way that it ends up being more players that you run into than NPCs. But yeah, somebody was telling me that it's going to be like 80% NPCs, like 20% players or something like that.
Yeah, it's 90-10. It's like one out of every
90-10.
Yeah, 10% of all of the population is supposed to be players, and 90%. But a lot of that is not going to be seen, because a lot of that is going to be simulated in the background that will sometimes show up.
Yeah, like ships flying around and okay.
And a lot of it is like there may be 1 million ships in the background simulation at like Olisar, but there you only actually see 100 because the background simulation.
I hope there's running 1 million vultures to salvage all that wreckage.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and the idea being like there's a lot of stuff that's being simulated in the background which we won't see, that will affect the economy and affect mission generation and like what's available where, but it won't. But players won't see all of it. They'll see a snippet of it and they'll interact with it. So the idea being that if you just turn the game on and you left it and no one ever played, the game would be able to run itself and change the economies dynamically.
Do you think it should be clear that when you're interacting with a player versus when you're interacting with AI? Or do you think it would be interesting to have it like blur the lines?
I would definitely. I'd love to see it blur the lines. I'd love to be able to not be able to tell if I'm talking to a player or an NPC, because that's more interesting.
Okay.
It makes it feel more realistic.
Okay. Yeah.
How about you, Zark?
I'll have to up my game.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be. I wouldn't want to see a difference too easily. I would want to have to second guess whether it's an NPC or a player. Definitely. Or if it's Expat. I mean, Expat is already doing that to us, obviously. Walking around, talking like an NPC.
Yeah.
I've
convinced about 3 people now.
I've done that before as well. So it's very fun to do that when you're talking with people and they're like, wait, is that a person an NPC? Or they, like, yo, you, stop running. No.
Hello, and welcome to Star Citizen. How can I help you, citizen?
All right. Next question comes from Nasty Boogie, who asks, great stream, guys. I've always found it jaw-dropping when I get off my ship on any planet or moon because of the vast nature and beauty. what kind of gameplay can you imagine filling this part of the world? For example, survival mechanics, deploying a little shelter, etc. So, what kind of gameplay do you think could fill in the void and like the vast expanses of space on planets and moons? I'll start with you on this one, Zark.
Picking bouquets. No, I'm kidding. What would I want to do? I'm gonna probably say survival, definitely. If we're gonna have that addition of gameplay where you have the pioneer and you set down a base somewhere, you would want to live off the land. I think that would be a charm in it. That you're supposed to be living in your base and you can live off the land. You can chop down trees, and I don't want it to be like a super survival game like we have different survival games now. But definitely, I would want it to connect into crafting, and but there's a risk there, of course. There's a risk that the game becomes too gamey and not very like word-like, or realistic. Because I can't go outside and start like chopping down a tree and craft whatever I want from that. And maybe there should be some limitations to that. And maybe like if I go out in the outskirts, if I get dropped with a helicopter like 20 miles from here, I wouldn't be able to do anything. Like knock on a tree, what am I gonna do? And maybe the vast like emptiness of the wilds is supposed to be there too. I'm not sure actually. But random encounters would be great.
Okay. Brat, same question.
Well, I mean, I recently played Sons of the Forest and had an enjoyable time doing it. I was doing a little bit of RP where I was saying that I was in a one of those pods, in Microtech where you're like in a simulation. This is a look back at ancient Earth, and here was me chopping down trees and building a little camp and everything. And yeah, it really is fun. I love construction in video games, and some of the ships, and I can't remember what's the name of the ship that you can drop bases and stuff like
That's
that.
the Pioneer.
The Pioneer. I mean, some of that gameplay. I mean, it does sound fantastic. And if you play No Man's Sky, you do have the ability to like create your own bases and stuff. It does introduce a new like way of kind of customizing the game experience and allowing the players to make their mark on the planets and things like that. But like to your point, Zark, you just can't go outside and start chopping a tree without a police officer coming and going like, what are you doing, right? So I feel like there will be places where this can be done. There should be places where it can't be done, but you should be able to start chopping, and somebody should be able to come over and go like, you have to stop doing that, and you're going to have to go into the crime system now because you chopped a tree in a place you weren't supposed to do it. And I think that's all about the immersion. That's all about living in the verse. I think that's where the crime system and everything is going to be so important. Is that you should, as a player, have the ability to do pretty much anything, and just depending on where you do it, when you do it, and who's around while you do it, there will be consequences. I think it'd be cool to have more of that. But yeah, long way off, I would imagine.
I'm the same kind of feel like empty spaces are important because they give you a sense of vastness. I do think they could do things like add towns or villages and places that make sense, or small bases, or abounding places that can add a little more variety to the universe, where you can stumble across like an old hab that was built 200 years ago that was abandoned, and you can see it partially collapsed and explore some of it and just see like, oh yeah, this feels like someone was here before me. But you don't necessarily need to.
I feel like scanning gameplay would be a great part of that. With the technology they're developing for making these outposts and bandit camps and things like that. Having the ability to go around with your ship that's like primarily designed for scanning and exploration, and by doing that gameplay, you actually create these villages and things like that where they may have not been before. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Which meant the server didn't necessarily have to make it or have it there before until somebody discovered it, and then it gets generated, and then it becomes a part of the world now. That would be really cool. Sorry, I cut you off.
No, it's fine.
I was excited by it.
The next question I was going to ask you, and I think this is specifically more towards you, Brat, is how do you handle interaction in game with players that resent RP?
To be honest, it's I have a laugh with it. I mean I'm very tongue in cheek. I'm not always in RP mode, and to be honest, I usually any glitch, any bug, any player interaction that goes wrong, I usually have a little quip or a line just to kind of brush it off. But players that don't like I honestly I haven't ran into that many people that don't enjoy it, appreciate it, and think it's something different and fun that adds to their game experience because they don't see it often. For example, one time I was in, I don't know if you remember back in, what is the Defense Expo that happens in Crusader? What's that called again? No, but before that is the military
Invictus Launch Week?
Yeah. Invictus. So an interesting thing happened where the Invictus Day was supposed to turn on the server, and you know how you get in the elevator and then you click on the place where you want to go, and then you go into the Invictus. So for that day on this particular Australian server, where in America it had started, on this server it was actually not active at the time, and I was wearing Crusader security uniform with my little Crusader badge and all this kind of stuff. And I was standing outside the elevators waiting for players to show up. And then I would explain to them, as a member of Crusader, why the elevator wasn't working. And we're currently dealing with a bit of a situation down there, where we apologize for the inconvenience and all this kind of stuff. And that player messaged me in private and said that was one of the best experiences they'd ever had in Star Citizen. And they weren't coming over and like role playing. They weren't really playing along. They just seemed like normal players. But I just kept throwing it back. I just kept with the RP. I just kept playing the game. And in the end of it, they went off on their merry way, and they were super happy about it. So I don't know. I kill it with kindness.
Yeah.
Put it that way.
I was going to say that generally speaking, most people who do like any kind of role play requires like buy-in, because if someone who doesn't like role play, and you go, hey, stop, don't run through security. I need to scan you. They don't care. They're just gonna go. Like they won't listen to you.
Oh yeah. They just go.
Yeah. So
they just go.
But
there's
if
nothing you can do.
Yeah, but if someone stops and you can do the whole spiel and everything, you can go through and talk with them and stuff. And if someone's stopping, they're going to want to interact with you. And I think there's a lot of Star Citizen's gameplay which really shines with player interaction, people talking with other people, interacting.
I really encourage people to turn their microphone on. I really encourage people to, like slow walk-in stations. I really encourage people to, obviously, look here. We're here to test. This is an alpha. We're here to test. We're here to get this thing out the door. Hopefully, as a community, we endure and persist and challenge ourselves to, report bugs and help get this thing, on the launch pad and up to space. But, in the meantime, you can have fun while that's happening, and you can let your hair down and have a genuine player-to-player interaction. I really encourage people to do it. It's you don't have to take it too seriously. You don't have to you can just be yourself, and that's fine. And people like me who are out there, getting content, we just work around you. Some people just get so stunned by it and they just don't even know what to say. And some people just start laughing and but it's all good fun. It's all good fun. I'm not here necessarily to make I'm here for me. I'm enjoying myself. So if you don't enjoy it, then it's your game. You can play the game how you want to play the game. It's not for me to tell you how to play the game.
Mhm. All right. So next question comes from Nov A 842, who asks, when slash or if slash when we get playable alien races, will you stay as a human or switch species? Zark, I'll ask you this question first.
I'm gonna stay as a
Stay?
human, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna try the alien races on another account, of course, but I'm gonna stay as a human, definitely.
Brat?
If are they gonna be playable? I just wanna, because you
Oh.
guys know a lot more than me. But
It's planned, but it's one of those things where it's like they mentioned it 7 years ago on an offhanded comment, and it was like we haven't heard anything since then. So it's like, yes, maybe.
Yeah.
So it's like
all right, because I feel like it would make sense if they weren't playable as well.
Yeah, same here. So it's hard to tell exactly if that would happen at all, especially not when Star Citizen can barely function right now. It's hard to imagine beyond that.
Progress,
Brat,
guys, progress.
same question for you, Brad. Like in distant future, if you were able to play as an alien, would you stay as your main character as a human, or would you move off to the alien race?
I mean, as much as I would love touching all the citizens of the verse with my big tentacles, I think I would. I think I would just stay as a human, to be honest. I mean, unless you could have some fun. I really wanted to, the Vandal mask. I really wanted the FOIP to work in the Vandal mask, so I could RP as a Vandal for a couple, But no, I think I would stay as a human, just for the fact that I mean, it would be an amazing out of body experience. But yeah, if there was a language I could learn, and if there was some good lore behind it, and if there weren't many people out trying it out, I'm sure I'd give it a go. But
I had so much respect for someone who learns Banu and goes about talking Banu to people on stream. That'd be amazing.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure if I tried to talk Banu, they would just shoot me, because it would be a terrible insult I would come out with, or something like that. But you said what? Yeah, I don't think.
Why are they leading me off to the ship? You just agreed to a 10-year labor contract. Congratulations.
Oh, great. Okay. Oh my god.
All right. I'll ask this question. I'm going to step out for a few seconds, but I'll start with you on this one, Brat. From Alsnar, who asks, do you think we will ever see a cruise ship sized player/org-owned ship? Bigger than 890 Jump, that's just a super yacht. He thinks it's something like the Love Boat sized ship. He thinks it's going to be great.
The Love Boat. Oh,
so what do you think?
Great.
I'll be right back.
So, okay, so we're talking about a ship that is bigger than an 890 Jump, that offers a VIP luxury experience that you can sail around the verse. I think it would be spectacular. I mean, at the end of the day, if the technology plays nice, I think these kind of things might be possible. I'm still not 100% clued in. As many times as I read up about server meshing and dynamic server meshing, I still can't quite get my brain around it. So it might be more of a technical question than anything. I think, if anything, the designers and the ship designers have shown that they are thinking of making things of that scale. Currently, I think they only have military and exploration ships of the kind of scale you're talking about. But yeah, it would be amazing if they could make a proper cruise ship. I suppose the Genesis Starliner is a similar concept, although that's primarily transport focused. But I suppose there's no reason why the Genesis Starliner couldn't have like a little pool in it, and like a VIP area. And at the end of the day, with these kind of things, it's all about the crew. It's all about the experience when you go aboard. It's all about are you able to log out in your bed, and is it able to continue on its journey with you on board? yeah, I mean, there's so many different hurdles technically, and with the different player, the number of players that you would need, and does AI work? Yeah, I think we're a long way away from that. But if we get to the kind of technology that they're talking about, I don't see why it can't exist, and it'd be super fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Sorry?
I think the Starliner being in existence, at least as a concept, shows that they are aiming to have like a huge number of players on board a ship. Because you brought up the issue about the server technicalities and like how many people could a server possibly maintain on a ship, and since they have the Starliner, I think they're aiming for the possibility to have a decent amount of players. And I don't see why they wouldn't expand that ship to have the same amount of players, but in their private quarters, like an org ship, because that was the question. Like an org ship, probably.
Like an org ship, like a space cruise
like
liner.
A station, almost like a space station cruise liner. Yeah.
And while you wait, you could bunk in the 890. You could have 4 people on that bed, definitely. You have that as an org ship.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's several years from now. Absolutely.
Okay.
I personally think that they need to figure out the org dynamics better, as far as can an org kind of share ships on accounts? Can you make can you attach your account to an org and then have access to a hangar? Can you assign yourself a bed that you will consistently respawn on, even if the ship is not there with the person that owns it? All these kind of things have to be figured out first. I guess true persistence would be that this ship is always on the server, and it's always ready for people to log onto it. And and then what does that mean for when you log off? I used to play Rust a lot, and logging off was a scary ordeal, because sometimes you'd log off and you'd come back and you'd have nothing left. And is persistence going to get to that point? I'm not sure.
Okay. Yeah, it's a good question. We don't know exactly, because like one of the things you mentioned Rust, like one of the things that I remember all the time is sleeping people. Like when you logged out, your character persisted on the mat.
You're actually there, yeah.
So, like, are we going to see the same thing, where, like, if your character's in their bed on like an 890, say for instance, when they log out on the bed, are they still on that bed? Like, is that ship explode? Is that person dead, or what's going on? So we haven't fully got that yet. I don't think so.
That's always such a difficult balance, as well as in gameplay, because I think that shuns away some people that wouldn't necessarily have the time to move back all the way across the system or across the planet back to their ship, where they could safely log out and go to bed, if that's where you log out. Because you wouldn't want your gameplay to be like, it still has to be easy somehow if you want a huge number of players. I know Rust it has a huge number of players, but the servers are still very small. Like the server itself, it doesn't have more than, 100 people? I played Conan, which is similar. It was 64 people. So even though there's a huge player base, there's not more than 60 people that can raid my base.
Yeah.
So I think in an MMO, it's going to be difficult to balance.
Yeah, for sure. All right. We got 2 more questions here. Nasty Boogie asks, do you think Starfield can keep us occupied until Star Citizen is in beta or release? Or will we get back to this horrible limbo mode after Starfield is not enjoyable anymore? I'll start with this one real quick, because I've been covering Starfield lore and stuff like that, and I've been planning to cover it for a while. The thing about Star Citizen to remember is that Star Citizen is always going forward. We've had this huge kind of, between 3.17.2 and 3.18 was like 8 months or whatever. It was a huge amount of time between the two, and if you count it from 3.17.1, it's been almost a year. We've had updates and stuff like that, but no real significant updates since 3.17.2. And a lot of people, I think, are traumatized by that. Almost like, it's like, oh my gosh, is this the new future? And it's like, no, we used to get quarterly updates, and we're getting back to that with 3.19, hopefully coming out before Invictus, and we'll get one for quarter 3, and so on and so forth. So as long as CIG continues to produce the game, I don't think we'll see a kind of a huge limbo mode that we've been seeing in the past. If anything, I think we'll see Starfield release, get a bunch of people who may have never played a space game before, play it, enjoy it, and then when they get finished with it, they're like, hey, I'd still like something like this, but like a different experience. I think you'll see a lot more people jumping into Star Citizen because they've got that first taste of, oh, this is what a space exploration kind of RPG style adventure is. And then if they like it, they'll find their way to Elite Dangerous and Star Citizen and the other games like that. So, what do you think, Expat?
Well, I mean, I'm a big Elder Scrolls fan. I mean, I used to play Morrowind religiously, and the music and the I mean, that was the first real experience of the whole like sandbox open world. So I mean, nostalgia is obviously there for me. Fallout games were really fun, Fallout 3 especially, and I hope it is a success. I hope it is a success. I hope it works. I hope it's going to be a different experience. It's a single player experience. I think, if anything, I think competition breeds innovation, right? And I think competition will also, competition in the gaming industry is really good. Because people can't just sleep on the job. Not saying anything about the devs sleeping or whatever, but like there will be concepts, there will be things in Starfield that people love, and there will be things that people don't like, right? So if anything, it's only going to go to kind of going to increase awareness for the devs, I'm sure, as to things that they may have had planned that Starfield did, and then it didn't actually work. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It might create some interesting conversations about things that you thought you would like in Star Citizen, and then you went and played Starfield and went, I didn't end up liking that. I didn't end up enjoying that type of gameplay or whatever. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful it only brings good things.
Zark, same question to you.
As far as being just really quick. As far as it being a waiting room, I mean, yeah, like this is Star Citizen isn't going to come out anytime soon, so it's okay. It's okay not to play Star Citizen, guys. Every now and again,
yeah,
you'll be fine. You'll come back.
I'll hop onto that and be like, yeah, it's fine to play that. There's no reason you can't play Starfield and Star Citizen. Take some time, play some Starfield, and when you're done, you come back to Star Citizen. I found that whenever I play another game that's not Star Citizen and I come back to Star Citizen, I get new appreciation for Star Citizen when I play another game. But like, oh, I want to do this.
Yeah.
Oh, but I can't do that. I can only do that in Star Citizen. I can't do that in this game. And vice versa. Sometimes I'll play Star Citizen and be like, I need to play another game, and I play a game that has 60 FPS or over 60 FPS, and the gameplay's smooth. I'm like, oh, this feels so nice. So, yeah. So,
it's probably going to be. Yeah, for me, it's going to be a game that I get heavily into when it releases, and then I'm going to probably end up playing it a lot when Star Citizen has these down periods, especially when you're frustrated with things like latency, or you can't connect to the game, or you get a 30k. You would want to go to a single player game. I know I would, at least.
Yeah.
And I think you brought up a very good point, Expat, too, about how different space games and the diversity among space games actually help refine them as well. Because developers are, of course, interested in the genre, and they're going to try the different games, and you can see aspects from Elite spilling over to Star Citizen and vice versa. And Elite got their space feet finally, but I think Star Citizen had a role to play in pushing the space feet functionality. So definitely, I'm looking forward to Starfield. I'll lose myself in it from time to time.
Nice.
Because with Star Citizen, you need something to lose yourself with, and having a game that is similar to Star Citizen to go to in the down periods of Star Citizen, that would be great.
All right, so this last question is a little off topic, but it's a good question nonetheless. Are either of you or both of you familiar with the Titan suits?
Barely.
Oh, like mech suits?
Yes, similar to mech suits.
No. Tell me more.
So, have you played PlanetSide 2?
Yes.
No?
Very little.
Do you know the max suits in PlanetSide 2? They're like the heavy infantry suits.
Oh yeah, it's like a heavy, like a heavy machine gunner or something, and he's got a special suit to enhance his capabilities as a warrior.
Yeah, that's effectively what the Titan suit is. It's part like step in and control like a mech, and part like exosuit, or like kind of like an Iron Man suit, that you're running around and enhances your abilities and such. It's made specifically for Squadron 42, but will likely port over to Star Citizen as well. And they've talked about doing things like industrial versions of it and salvage versions of it. Think of the loader from Aliens, that kind of experience.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So the question from Ferric asks, how do you ideally want Titan suits to move compared to other types of mech or power armor in games or media, such as Fallout 4, Titanfall, Mech Warrior, Space Marine, Battletech Elementals, or Section 8, for example? So if you're,
I know the suit from Fallout very, very well. Is that similar?
Yeah,
the power suit.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's the concept, where how in Fallout 4 you step into it and you kind of wear it. It's sort of like that, but instead of wearing it fully, you actually have like this little arm controls where you control the arms inside the suit like this, with like little remote controls, and then the arms will move around for you, but you still move and step and stuff like that. So the question is,
I would definitely want it to add something for me. I know the spacesuits that we have already added that we could walk underwater. That was a great thing. And having that for a Titan suit instead, I feel would have made sense. But I think the spacesuits covering that part is also fair. So I think the Titan suits should be moving slow. Wouldn't enhance my abilities for speed and stuff like that, but rather load my ship faster, maybe. Could use it for industrial parts of the game. Carry 2 SCU boxes, like one in each hand, and just throwing in my ship much faster than using a tractor beam. That'd be cool.
Expat, same question.
Well, I've been interested since they mentioned the scanning technology that you're going to have for your ship, and for your individual scanners, personal scanners for people boarding your ship and stuff. When that was announced, I was immediately thinking about different types of suits and different types of undersuits that would be, and armors that would be specialized for, stealth versus power versus, loading and all that kind of stuff. So I think it's a really, really good way of taking a character that is otherwise standardized, your standard human character, and creating special abilities around different professions, and they've been talking about the attributes and stuff like that. I'm still not 100% sure how I feel about that in Star Citizen, but I do like the idea that equipment would separate, an individual, having a specific scanner type for a certain situation, having a radiation suit, having like a mech style loader uniform, and loader suit. I think all that is really is going to be really good to create teamwork and give people a job, and to help in defining professions in the verse. Different tools for the job. It's the same thing that the ships do. So yeah, I think an extension of that would be great. Combat variant, loader variant, mining variant. Yeah, I think it'd be cool, and I think it makes sense for this world. You know, some of the amazing ships that they've built. I wouldn't imagine that you would just be going out there and building these ships with your bare hands necessarily. I think you would have assistance from robots, machines, and potentially modified suits. If we have it now, and it's currently being researched in DARPA at the moment in 2023, then I don't see why a future world like this would not be full of them.
Yeah. For me, I would love to see it have some. It's got stuff like this because like some of the things we've seen are like it being able to carry like massive weaponry, and you need to have some sort of trade off because you don't want to have something that's just better in terms of gameplay because that's just boring. It's not. Not only is it just like, oh well, everyone will use it, but it's boring because it doesn't encourage people to do something else. So the way I would love to see it is more of a slower, more methodical, or maybe fast, but in a straight line, where like it can go very, very fast in a straight line, but it's not moving left or right. So if you're getting up to top speed and you're running that thing towards somebody and someone just pulls out a rocket launcher, you're dead because you can't move out of the way very easily. That sort of thing. There needs to be some flaws in there. So I can see the slow and cumbersome or maybe fast but only in a straight line sort of situations. As long as, like, for me, that's more of a gameplay balance. But you got to feel powerful. That's the one thing I will say with that thing. If you're getting into an exoskeleton suit, you should feel like a god in that suit compared to on foot. So it makes it feel like you want to use it, but also have its limitations.
Well, like a god with a battery that can run out, and with ammunition that can deplete, and with a shield that only lasts so much longer. The great game design is a yin and a yang, right? For every action, there's a counter, and I hate to say it, but like I think Star Citizen is already going to have more than enough balance issues once we start getting into the engineering side of things and the ships actually functioning the way they have to. And the more ships they make, the more difficult it is going to be to balance what is essentially the basics of the space game, which is game balancing with regards to the ships. So if these are just going to be an extension of ships, then it's just going to be more to balance, and do they have any abilities inside space? At the end of the day, I can just imagine a bunch of people on the top of like an 890 jump hangar in their mech suits firing off. It's bad enough with railguns, right? And can you imagine mech warriors showing up on an 890 jump and ruining your day? You're just going to be like, my immersion.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's the last question. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you to Expat, Brat, and Zark Media for coming in. Make sure, as always, you're following them on their social medias, twitch.tv/expatbrat and youtube.com/Zark Media. Go check them out. Is there anything big that's coming up, Zark, for you? Is there anything that you're doing other than just your weekly or your usual shows?
Yeah, there is actually. I'm gonna try to move some content into Twitch, and the content that I'm working on right now is instructional videos for the games of a game show. So I'm gonna try to make a game show with contestants and a prize, and runs over the course of 3 games. And I'm working on that right now, and it's gonna be live. So it's really scary, but I think it's gonna be really cool.
That's awesome.
And we'll see when we see that. And I know the other people in HubNet, like on every of my videos, there's a link to the other HubNet creators. They have some huge things going on as well. So check that out too.
Awesome.
HubNet is like a whole concept.
Yeah.
If you invite any of us, we're always going to promote each other. Just so you know.
Well, yeah, and I'm on the HubNet Discord too. There's a Discord too. So if you're interested in collaborating with the machine makers or other kind of content creators making videos in Star Citizen, using Star Citizen, go check it out. HubNet. It's I'm sure there's a link to the HubNet Discord in your videos, right, Zark?
Yeah, there are.
I'll try to put it in the description as well for the people who are missing it. So, and Expat, is there anything big's coming up for you? Anything you're planning on doing, or?
Well, I'm hopefully planning on helping the SCPD shoot a little promotion for their launch, which is going to be kind of fun. You know, getting into like a bit more cinematics for a change that gets recorded and then edited, which is different to what I do, which is usually live. But overall, I guess I've been away playing both Kerbal and some other games, you know, while 318 has been cooking, and I've also been away from work, away with work for a while. So, yeah, to all the people that follow me on Twitch, all I really need to say is I'm back.
I'm sure a lot of people were hoping for it. So, and as always. With us, if you wanted to join us live, please do join us live at twitch.tv/theastropub, youtube.com/theastropubLive. We do these at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern on Saturdays. So we'd love for you to come by and check this out if you're not live. Thank you to everyone in chat as well for joining us. And like I say every time, hope to see you someday in the black.